Hello, everyone. This is Andre with the Impulsive Thinker podcast, and appreciate you taking a listen again and hearing me ramble on. And today I got a good friend of mine, Dr. Don Pelto, DPM from Central Massachusetts Podiatry in Worcester, Massachusetts. Sorry, I don't know if I said that right.
Worcester, but it's okay.
Worcester.
Everyone messes it up.
We know each other through a strategic coach program, and we've been having a lot of good entrepreneurial traps over the years. Not traps, sorry, chats over the years. And I know I've grown a lot with our challenge, not challenges, but our chit chats, and we've learned a lot from each other, which I think. But Don, you're not just a doctor. You're an entrepreneurial doctor, which is like me, an entrepreneurial engineer, is kind of a bit of an oddball. Do you want to give us a little more about yourself and your entrepreneurial side?
Yeah, thanks, Andre. I've always been interested in the entrepreneur and business aspects. I think before I got into this, I wanted to be a magician first, and that didn't work. Then I wanted to be a motivational speaker, and that didn't work. And so I kind of fell back being a doctor as a backup plan. But during my studies, I was always in the library reading the annals of podiatry management, which is basically a practice management thing within podiatry. And I was more interested in the business than I was kind of in the doctoring. And it just, I think it's always been that way, kind of being an entrepreneur, liking to improve processes and making things better and life hacks and things like that. And so that's why I got involved with strategic coach, similar to you. And it's just kind of a way I can get that part of me out.
Yeah, it's like they tell us, like, we're entrepreneurs, and like you're and at the same time you're a doctor, just like me. I'm at the same time I'm an engineer, so entrepreneurial first. I guess I didn't really clearly state this ahead of time because I did not really write down a list of order yet. Like I've been sharing with everyone, this has been a development as I'm moving forward. Don here is actually one of our first guest hosts for the podcast, and he's going to be interviewing me, and he's got a certain topic he'd like to discuss and see where we can go with this conversation. So I'll now officially move the episode to Dr. Don Pelto.
Hey, okay. Well, welcome to the Impulsive Thinker podcast. And I'm happy to interview Andre here. Andre, we're going to talk a little bit today about being a kind of dealing with ADHD and the importance of ritual structure and things like that in your life. So to start out, like, how in the past have you used some type of a ritual? Let's start with something simple. In the morning, what you can do a morning ritual. Do you have one? How has it developed over time?
Undiagnosed, I had a ritual that I preferred to have, but was pretty much ridiculed because it was not the neurotypical norm. But once I got diagnosed with ADHD, I actually refined it, because what I discovered is the rituals is a habit. It becomes a routine, and I don't have to think about it anymore. And that saves a lot of mental energy in your executive functioning skills. Less decisions you can make in the morning, the better. Then you can get out the door, you'll get your keys, you got your laptop bag, you've got everything that you need, and then you just go straight to work. So for one thing, my clothes are already picked out in the morning. I go in the same order. I brush my teeth first, halfway through. I start the shower, finish my teeth, do the shower. And I go down the same order of stairs to the same entrance into the kitchen to get my medication for the day. Everything I need for the day is at the door. Either it's in my hat on the hutch, all keys, if I've changed pants, or if I got to bring a certain book or a certain thing to the office, it's in my hat. And my laptop bag's all prepped and ready to go at the same place on the floor. And if any of those routines are disturbed, I can't find anything. I can't see anything, and the rest of my day gets out of there. It's kind of starts the day off kilter. And even if someone puts, like, say, a piece of paper on top of my hat that has everything, I can't see it. And then my brain, the ADHD brain, just kind of goes, whoa, this is not right. This is not normal. kind of overexcites itself, gets overstimulated, and then you're thrown off. And then all it is a piece of paper. It is simple. It's a piece of paper I can move, but that throws you off, and then you can forget your next step of the routine.
That's awesome. I don't know. Did you want your guests to share what they do similar, or or do you want it to all be about your routine?
No, I'd love to hear from the listeners and what kind of routines and rituals they do have. You can share that at questions@theimpulsivethinker.com, or on the website at theimpulsivethinker.com, or in the comments below.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's good. Mine are, there was a good book called The Life-Changing Art of Tidying Up, and a big kind of book guy. And they talked about having spaces for things. So I have 2 backpacks. One backpack is for my work and one backpack is for my church. And it has everything I need in that backpack. And it's in the same place in my room every day. And I'm able to, it's a separate place. And I also have one in my hutch. I have one drawer. I have a drawer in my wife's drawer. I can't find anything in her drawer, but my drawer is organized, and it has, all it has is my keys, and that's pretty much, and a shoehorn, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, like having a separate bag for separate tasks or stuff, like you say, one's for church, one's for work. I got a lot of bags, and they're all for a certain thing: karate,
Yep.
work. Even for if I do a lot of camping, I got dedicated bags that everything gets packed in the same order, so it's always in the same place at the same time. So you're never, you're less likely to be surprised to not have it. And even for me, each bag might have the same type of stuff in it: same pens and pencils, the same books, the same everything. Like for me, my computer setup at work is identical to home. My Wi-Fi setup at home and at work is all the same. So it's all, I just take it from one environment to the other, and everything's identical. So I don't have to remember extra stuff or change the way I work. So I got a lot of multiple things of one thing, but they all have a purpose in a set place. So I don't have to remember to take it from there to move it to there. It's always there. And I don't have, one less thing. Energy management, mental energy management is key. And I think that's what I really learned over the years, since my diagnosis 3 years ago, is energy management is key. And because of our executive functioning skill deficit.
Andre, one thing I learned in coach is every time something pisses me off, I transform it. Right.
Mhm.
And so one thing that always stressed me out was when I travel, and I traveled a lot. When I used to go to coach, it was every 3 months, and I still have a lot of trips. And so this whole thing about duplicity of things, I have a little travel bag, and in there I have, of course, all the toiletries, which are common, but I also have every single type of, I have an extra computer battery I bought. I have an extra laptop battery. I have extra cell phone plugs I bought extra cell phone plugs, extra tea bags, because it's a chamomile tea I like at night. I have extra everything in this bag, and I never take anything out. I have workout clothes. I have everything. It just sits in that bag for when I travel, so I don't have to remember anything. I used to use a checklist, but then I just bought everything on the checklist and I just left it in there. It just helped my peace of mind.
Exactly. Like I've got 5 laptop transformers. One's at the office, one's at my office, at the desk at the office at home. One is downstairs where we'll use it for streaming on the big TV. One is in my laptop bag for work in case I decide to go, or I have to go somewhere else outside the office. So it's always there if I got a site, and another one on the personal travel bag for sure.
Yeah.
But I always kept forgetting it and trying to remember it. And it's just, why? For an extra $100, I don't have to worry about it again.
Yep. Yeah.
And you always need it at the most extreme time. And that's when you don't have it, is when you really need it.
Well, if we're talking about travel, another ritual, I don't know how you do your travel arrangements, but I got this from coach as well. I have Sally, and Sally does all my arranging for me. She schedules everything, and she just sends me an envelope with everything I need. And I just put that in my little travel bag whenever I travel. So I don't have to think about anything. I know it's right there, and she does everything. It's just one thing, less thing to think about. Can I make my travel arrangements on Expedia or something? I could, but it's just so much easier. And she sends it, prints it, and gives it to me. Do you have any other things for like travel? Any other things that you may have not thought of before that you do?
Well, travel, a lot before the digital age where everything become on your phone. I used to have one dedicated folder that was all related to the trip. If it's a day, even if it was a day or multi-day, all the tickets, all the reservations were all there. But yeah, the travel, well, during the current times there, travel has been a lot less. But that's something that I think about more. But actually, since everything's gone digital, it's been easier that way.
Yeah.
I have in the past had someone help me to do those travel arrangements, and is a definite help. But the challenge there is getting to that trust factor that they're going to do it and schedule it the way I would like it to be done, because I got a particular time of the day I'd like to travel. A lot of times I like to get to the location early,
Yeah. If you like to
hours
do it,
early. Yeah.
there's who's that can do that for you though.
Yeah. But that is definitely one way of doing it, is have someone else take care of it so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about other, do you have any, we're talking about rituals here, any eating rituals that simplify your life, any workout rituals that simplify your life, habits, we call them too.
Well, the one ritual for eating is just frustrating to my wife is I don't care eating the same thing at the same meal for weeks and months on end. I don't have to think about it. When we go to the restaurant, I go to one restaurant, I always order the same thing easily all the time because I know what it's going to taste like. I don't have to make a decision on something else or trying something new, because that unknown really stresses the ADHD brain out. Because is it going to be good? Is it going to be a failure? I don't want to waste my money. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to a restaurant, my brain is fried, so I just go to what I know best, and it's the same food. So a lot of people accuse me of not trying new things, but it works for me. It tastes good and it's guaranteed good. So why would I try something different? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You said for food, and what else was it?
Exercise, working out, health.
Exercise. For me, I think it's the routine has to be the same time every day, and the same arrangement. So for me, I'm an early bird. I've always been. I can't, after 5 hours of sleep, I can't sleep. So I'm up early. So if I can do it first thing in the morning and early, then it's done for the rest of the day. I found out with time that if I try, I'll do it at lunch, or I'll do it when I get back from work. With that mental fatigue drain, you don't have the cognitive ability anymore to push you more to get that done. So I just, same time, try to wake up same time every day, same routine. All my clothes for workout clothes are right in the same spot. When I was going to the gym was the same place. Start with a cardio, all kind of routine and somehow planned out. If I kind of had like a 5-day schedule of different things to work on from the workout, and I always follow that same thing, because try to change it up every week was too much. So the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I'm extremely lazy, and so what I found that works good for eating is I just don't eat, and that's been really easy for me because I don't have to make any decisions. I find decisions hard, and we've talked about this before. I do maybe a 4-hour window or one meal a day, Monday through Friday. And then the weekend, I don't care. And I just eat whatever. That's really made it easy for me. And there's no fatigue during my workday. Should I eat the cookies, the brang, or shouldn't I? Having that willpower or that decision is not even a question.
Well, I think with that decision, because I do the same thing. We've talked many times about that, is eating once today is easy, because for me, as long as the further I can push that first bite is better, right? The ADHD brain is all or nothing.
Yep.
All or nothing. And that really made it
eat
easy for me when it was no food until I get home. And then up until 8 o'clock, or actually 7:30 that night, then I don't eat past that, because once you eat after 7:30, it goes straight to your stomach because the body doesn't need it. But that's the all or nothing attitude, not attitude, sorry, but that's the all or nothing way our brain works. Either we're all in or we're all out.
Yeah.
And I found out also with exercise, either I'm all in or all out. There's not a lot of in between.
Something I found with exercise, Andre, and this is just taking time. I used to go to the gym and I never knew what to do. Very similar to you. I used to go there and I was like sitting around and it did some treadmill and stuff. And I with coach, I figured out, well, who can be my who? And so I have a benefit. What I found, and I work out Mondays and Fridays at 5:30 in the morning. I only do 2 45-minute workouts. And it's called a boot camp. And the reason I like it is because I show up and someone tells me what to do and I don't have to think. I like it as well. I pay 15, 20 bucks. It's like $100 a month or something like that. But what I really like though, is if I don't show up, they charge me $30.
Ouch.
So but I really like having that negative feedback. It's that accountability that, like, if I cancel within 24 hours, they charge me, and it really helps my accountability. Like, I need that. And I wish other areas of my life I could get that more fees. You're going to laugh, but those fees help me, and having a structured time doing it. And the other thing I've learned in terms of rituals is it's called habit stacking. So I wasn't using my jacuzzi. So now every day, Mondays and Fridays, when I go to the gym, I go in my jacuzzi. So it's a stack. That's another kind of high level.
That's another.
Do you have any
one.
stacks that you do? Like, you work out then jacuzzi or something similar to that?
I don't have a jacuzzi, but a lot of the morning and evening habits are stacked.
Yeah.
Right. Like for evenings, a long time ago, just so I can slow down that ADHD brain, because at the end of the day, even if you leave from the office, there's no way you can slow down. And my drive home is it's only 5 minutes. So there's no time for that to slow down. So I discovered once I get home, I say my highs, hello, everyone. And then I go to my room and I change out of my work clothes, quote unquote, into comfy clothes. And that helps with the brain to transition from work to home, and it slows the brain down. So since I'm already up in my room, I'm near my dresser. So I pick out next day's clothes.
I like that.
Right. So then it all gets put there on that spot. And then whatever else that's related to that. And then I go back downstairs. If I brought stuff back from the office, that's put away right away. Or if I'm going to do anything, everything gets put away on the top. Since I'm in the office, I'll just pack it in. And then that's it for until dinner.
Then you can shut it off.
Can't shut it off. It slows more down.
Yeah.
We can't shut our brains down, man. I think the ADHD brain will never stop. And I saw that last night. I worked late last night on some stuff for the getting this podcast out, and my brain, I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It just would not stop. Kept going. So yeah, so those transition times is key for us too. And I found with the rituals and habits are definitely key to it. And then once it becomes habitual, then your brain is just like that. I found your first 90 days, you got to cognitively work at it to tell your brain this is why you want to do it. I'm moving out of my work clothes, so I'm now in home, so I can get that slowed down. And then once you just repeat it, your brain will learn it. And then it just becomes natural.
Yeah. For those that wear shirt and ties, once again, it's rituals. My stuff comes back from the dry cleaners. I put it on the left and I take from the right. I never decide which shirt. I just from the left to the right. My suits that I wear, it's from the left to the right. So when I actually I wear them from the left, and when I wear them, I put them on the right, and it just goes in that order. I wear suit coats during the week, and I wear suits on the weekend, and it always goes left to right. So I don't have to think about anything. The only thing about is my ties, and I have three racks of ties, and every time I go to strategic coach, I swap out one rack of ties, and right. So they just switch, and so I don't have to think about anything.
Yeah, I got all my work clothes and shirts are in one part of the dresser, and everything that's home, like dirty clothes for housework, yard work, is in a completely different area. And even in the closet is separated by that. Work, dirty stuff, or just casual, comfy clothes for sure.
One thing when traveling, I don't know if you're like this as well. When I come home from traveling, once again, my wife, if it was up to her, I love my wife, but we would have everything not packed or not unpacked for weeks, right? It's just not a priority. I can't sleep if things aren't put away. So I'm the one that comes home and I put everything away right away. And I can sleep. I used to be able to not sleep if my desk was disorganized. Is that something similar to you?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it has to be done. and it's always going to nag you until you do it. And if you don't do it right away, once you get home, it's always going to be put off, and then you're always going to see it. And then it's just kind of one of those negative ruminations of you should do it, but I'm not. And I got into a habit very early that way. So I don't know how it is for you, but for me at a very young age, messiness was very loud. It was a noise. Um, it's hard to explain it, but if things
I
were
agree.
out of whack and it just cluttered, it's hard to find things. It just got loud and overwhelming, and then all you're doing is trying to figure it out and reorganize. So the sooner I can get it done, the better. And then I discovered with time, and I've been trying to teach my kids this, is every night before you go to bed, all you got to do is tidy up what you did that day. Now you got little tidy ups every day, and you don't have a big mess to clean up. Because the bigger the mess, the ADHD brain gets overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. We always start in the middle of it, never at the start. And figuring out where the start is confusing, and it's overwhelming, and then we procrastinate on that. So I learned to just keep it tidying up. And my office right now at home is falling so far behind. I don't know where to start. It's been a couple of years now, and I do not know where to start. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. In my mind, it's a 2-week job where I got to pull it all out and throw it back in. Now that's probably not the reality of it, but that's how my brain's working. Is it's just too much. You don't know how to organize it, where to start, and you just delay, and then there's something else put on top, and then now I'm losing stuff. I can't find it.
Yeah. I just want to, what brought into my mind when you were saying that is, let's talk about parenting. One thing I recently thought of, or I learned this from someone else, is I always was hoping for that hour or 2 or 3 or half day with my kids. And I found it never really happened. And I learned this from someone else. And they said, when your kid comes and asks you for something, I used to always say, okay, later, Daniel, or later, Elizabeth, or later, or on the weekend, or next week, or when we're on vacation, or this or that. And someone taught me something. They said, I look at my son and I say, Daniel, for the next 3 minutes, I have all the time in the world for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there for them for 3 minutes. And my son, it's changed our relationship significantly.
Cool.
Because I never had the time. And now I have all the time. I always have 3 minutes for him. No matter what I'm doing, I have 3, and it might last 5, and then, but then that fills fills them. It fills them. Daddy has time for me. And so what they know from me is not that daddy never has time. It's daddy always has time for me, even if it's 3 minutes.
That's interesting, because so that would have been a tough cognitive attempt. Like you'd have to cognitively work on that for a while. Because like, I know when you're discovered, I always say that I still do that to this day. But yeah, later on, as it's for me, it's always been, it's because I'm working on something, I'm finally into something, and now I don't want to be disrupted again. Because to go back into it is tough. So I'll get to that later so I can finish this was my reasoning for to get back later. But to go back, and I like what you're saying about that, to give them that time. And I'm getting better on that, but it takes big cognitive effort to do that, to get into that habit.
Yeah. My ritual, I separate spaces. I don't do any work at home.
Oh, cool.
And so that's why I have my backpack. It goes in my backpack. My backpack gets closed, and I switch to whether it be family things or church things or other things. If I need to do work, I'll come to work. I'll actually come here and I think that having separate spaces is really key.
Oh, it's very important.
Let's talk about that. What are your spaces? Talk about your environments.
Well, I got my work environment, and I got my desk is another environment in the office environment, which is kind of separated from everyone. So it's less distractions, which I think that in itself is another topic for another day. But yeah, to me, when I first started my engineering company at home, my basement was the office, and it never, I was always in there. It was easy to say, I'll go downstairs and just do a couple minutes and get that done. And the next thing you know, it's 5 hours later. wife's in bed, and then it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you get up and do it again. And I rented space because I needed to separate the two physically. I couldn't do it emotionally. I couldn't do it because it's always there. You see it, and to go to work to me was a big, big thing. So the more you can separate that stuff is best. And like at home, I got my home office, which is more for home related stuff. And then even in there, it's kind of my reading area too, den. And I got, downstairs is the entertainment room, which is only watch TV there. And then we got another living room that's more of a family room, and we just keep it all like that. And anything related to those environments are in there. They're not somewhere else to be pulled over and moved over. So
How about regarding technology? Do you have any, I'll explain what I mean, but like, do you have any workspaces within technology, like a special thing on your Google browser or file system, Google Docs? Do you use Microsoft Teams? Like, what do you use for separating spaces and projects and things?
I've got OneDrive. We're using Microsoft OneDrive, and I got one for work. I got one for the engineering company. I got one for my personal stuff. And then I got another one for the podcast and tactical breakthroughs. And but my browser, no matter where I am, it's always the same toolbars and bookmarks. I don't have different bookmarks for different stuff. It's all the same no matter where I go, which is key.
Yeah.
So
I've within the digital realm, I found that recently I've been using something called Todoist.
yes, beautiful.
And
I use it too.
what I like about it, I do it with patients. So if I want to talk, if I don't want a patient to follow up in 2 weeks and I want to call and just see how they're doing, I'll put their medical record number and say, medical record, call in 2 weeks, see how they're doing with an injection. But it's also expanded to developing new habits that I don't have. And like one of the habits is, there's a course on making YouTube videos I wanted to learn, and I had to do one. It's like it's like a 30-day challenge. So I had to do one per day. Yeah. I'll never remember it, but if it shows up on my browser with that number 1, I have a very high follow through, and I have to finish those things that are in Todoist. And so it really kind of pushes me versus having to write the darn thing in my agenda or my thing every single day. It's a pain. I won't do it. But if it pops up every day, Monday through Friday, it's a really good thing. And so the next thing I want to do is with writing. I'd like to start writing like 500 words a day in a blog.
I do the same thing.
So tell me what you do.
I use Todoist a lot. A lot of it has to do is if I got to do something in 5 days, I can write in Todoist on that day and it's done. I don't have to remember it. It's out of my head. I don't have to keep trying to remember or write it somewhere down. And then the recurring stuff, when I want to create new habits, I always make it a recurring thing that I see it on Todoist for sure.
Perfect.
So, yeah, this has been fantastic. Unfortunately, time's up. What was the one thing you think you took away from this, Don, or one thing you learned?
Andre, I think the one thing I learned from you was the whole idea of the rituals. And I like the rituals that you've installed in the morning and at night. And I've learned some things of how I can modify mine to make them better. And even though I learned about it wasn't OneDrive, it was the Microsoft. I don't use that thing, and I'd like to try that One Page, is it called, or whatever it's called?
OneNote.
Yeah. I don't use that currently, and I think so. Trying different things.
Oh yeah, we can have another episode just on tech. It'll probably be a good idea.
On tech stuff. But what I feel is I feel validated because I don't know many people that use all these hacks that I do, and so it's nice when someone else, maybe your listeners. And I don't know if it's a result of ADHD or if it's a result of being an entrepreneur, but that's what I learned.
Like I know, so I'm going to challenge the listeners here is what I discovered with time was the things I kept forgetting or I kept missing. It's not because we're lazy, like you mentioned earlier, Don. I forgot to catch you on that. It's not we're lazy. It's just, our executive functioning, our working memory is low. It's short. So when I kept forgetting a certain thing, I actually started to look at it instead of being lazy, stupid, and I can't figure crap out. I started to figure out how can I change it so I won't. And that's how my morning rituals. So how about, can you guys send it to me at questions@theimpulsivethinker.com or in the comments below. What's the one thing that you keep forgetting that you want to work on? And then I want to challenge you to create a ritual or in a habit so that you can reduce that. So it'd be great to hear from you on that. So thanks again, Dawn, for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
And this is fantastic. And what I got to say is, everyone, send you that challenge, give it up. And just remember, ADHD is a part of you. It's not all of you. Thanks for listening. And if you think this is helpful, please share it and subscribe at the button below. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.